Hi, welcome to Glow's Kinder Kitchen, and I'm Glow. Well, today we are going to be making a rhubarb cake together. And I actually call this Glow's Rhubarb Cake. It's a recipe that the basis of it came from a recipe called Oma's Rhubarb Cake. But I've made some changes to it through the years, so I've just decided now I call it Glow's Rhubarb Cake. So let's go ahead and get started. I went ahead before we started today and I put into this bowl here 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 1/4 cups of just white granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stir this up well. What I'm using to stir this with is a Dutch or Danish whisk. And this little gadget comes in so handy when I'm stirring up things. You wouldn't think it would mix things up very well, but it's awesome.
It does.
So then the next thing I'm going to do is I put in 2 well-beaten eggs. And I went ahead and cracked them and started beating them here. And I'm going to go ahead and just pour that right in. And then to that, I'm going to be adding 1 cup of vanilla yogurt. And I'm going to put that right in. And these little plungers come in real handy too. If you don't, let me see how to use this since it's already dirty. So I'm going to just go ahead and stir this up. See what I mean? How that just blends that all well together.
Flows through there very smoothly.
It really does. And now I'm going to add in a little orange flavoring extract, orange extract. And I'll probably put like 1/4 teaspoon. Not much, but it just gives it a real nice flavor. And then also cake batter flavoring. It smells so good. It smells like vanilla, but with a little bit of butter in it. And see that beautiful yellow color? It's going to give the cake like a buttery, look to it, and also flavor. So I'm going to just go ahead and stir this up. And quite often when I'm making a regular cake, if I decide to use the cake batter, cake batter flavoring, I'll put like up to 1 teaspoon. But for this particular recipe, I usually just do shy of 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 to 1/2. What I'm doing now is just getting everything incorporated. Making sure there's nothing on the bottom. So I have a rhubarb plant out in my yard. And so I have 3 cups of rhubarb here that I cut up. And if you're not familiar with rhubarb, I'll hook up, at the bottom of this recipe, a link to picking rhubarb and how to remove the leaves and everything. So that if someone here doesn't know how to do it, there'll be a real easy way to do it. Now I'm going to just pour in my 3 cups of the rhubarb. And if you've never had rhubarb before, try it. It is just delicious. It's kind of tangy, and we're kind of hooked on it. And in spring and summer up north, it's very common. It grows in the wild up there. So that's all there is to that part. So it's easy. So I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I went ahead and I buttered and floured my baking dish, which is a 9 by 13. I'm going to show you what I use. It's this, and you can buy it. There's one that's by Joy of Baking, I believe it's called. But this one I just get at Aldi's. It works real well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour this cake batter with the rhubarb in it right into this pan. Smells good.
Does.
Yeah, rhubarb is really versatile too. You can make a sauce with it to serve like over ice cream, or even rice is good with it. I make pies quite often with it. Of course, cakes, muffins, crisps, cobblers. It's just very versatile. I really don't know too many people that don't like it. We were very fortunate to be able to grow this down here. It took me about 5 plants and I ended up with 1, but now it's spreading. So I think I have 3 or 4 plants now as they're spreading.
Got bigger, that's for sure.
Yeah. My buddy Lou's sisters shared plants of theirs up in Michigan with us to get it started. Because rhubarb in the store is not cheap. So there we go with that part. So now we're going to do the topping. It's very easy. There's 1 cup of granulated sugar in here, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and to that I'm going to be adding 1/4. I got a little batter on that, so I don't want to do that. 1/4 cup of this softened butter. And I know that was a little over 1/4 cup, so I just left 1 little pat there. So now I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to work this right into this topping. And there's times where I'll put oatmeal in it, but today I decided not to. But we're just going to work this in. So I will be back in just a moment once I get this all incorporated in it, and I'll show you the next step. All right, well, I've got it all, the butter all incorporated in there with the sugar and the flour. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to lightly sprinkle this on top. And it makes a really nice streusel topping. I hate to waste any of this, it's so yummy. There we go. Now I'm just going to lightly spread it over. Doesn't that look yummy?
Looks good, Miss Chloe.
There. Now, what I'm going to do is the original recipe I had called for cinnamon. For us, the cinnamon is a little intense. So what I have decided to do through the years is I use cardamom, and I also use nutmeg pairing with it. So I'm going to lightly sprinkle this over the top. This is the cardamom. You don't want a lot. There. I think that looks like it's about enough. And then just a little bit of nutmeg. And And these two pair very well with the rhubarb and the orange flavoring in there, along with the butter flavoring from the cake batter flavoring. One of the reasons I put that cake batter flavoring in there is because I'm sure you noticed there's no butter in this except for the top. It was yogurt. So anyway, I am going to go ahead and put this in the oven at 350 degrees. Actually, I'll be turning it down about 10 degrees because this is a glass dish, and it requires for us to bake it for about 45 to 50 minutes. So I'll see you back then. Well, I just took the cake out of the oven, and I got to tell you, I wish we had smell-o-vision because it just smells so good. But anyway, one of the ways you can tell if a cake is done or not is if you put your toothpick or skewer down in there and it comes out clean, you know it's done. And this is done. So we'll just do one more spot. Yep. So anyway, unfortunately we got to wait about a half hour to 45 minutes in order to sample this. So we'll be back then. Well, our cake is cooled now for about 45 minutes, and now it's time to taste it. So I gotta tell you, it smells delicious.
Lucy wants to taste it too.
You guys gotta look at this.
Get close up there, Miss Glow. Hold it steady a minute. Hold on, there we go. Okay, looks good.
It is so good. It's very moist and flavorful. That rhubarb is just delicious, and then that streusel topping with the cardamom and the nutmeg. This is delicious. Brings back childhood memories for sure. Wish you guys were here to have a piece with us. This is delicious served with vanilla ice cream. You could serve it with whipped cream or just by itself. It is so good. So anyway, and Lucy here is waiting to have a little tiny piece too, I guess. I hope you've enjoyed this. I want to thank you for watching. And give me a comment and a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do. We'll talk to you later. Bye.